If I'm not even ready, you don't care.
I really don't. No,
well,
I don't.
Why do you even ask?
I have 100% on my iPad, so I don't have to worry about switching to the phone.
Wow.
Thank goodness.
Wow.
Good preparation.
Was it your wife that plugged it in for you? I mean,
no, that was me, and I used her fast charger because she's the only one in the house that got a fast charger.
Nice.
Because I guess now with Verizon, all they do now, when you buy a phone, I guess now, hey Sebastian, I guess now you have to buy the charger separately now. Because I think we got a phone for somebody, I can't remember who it was, and then there was no charger in the box. And I guess now Verizon is making you buy the charger on top of buying the phone. And then when it comes to fast charges, now they're making you buy that. And that's even more money.
Yep. I went through that recently myself at Verizon. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
A regular phone charger goes for like 30, maybe $40. And now with this fast charges, anywhere between 80 to 90. Maybe even 100 in some places. I'm like, yo, this is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous
to talk on the phone.
And mine has a black cord, but they didn't have a black charger. So now I have a white charger with the black cord, and it goes with nothing.
That is so embarrassing. I'm
because
sorry
they want you to basically buy,
spend all your money.
Spend all your money. Yeah. That's why they put glitches in the phone, so they make you think your phone is messed up.
Make the battery slower.
They just want you to buy the new one.
Yeah.
I think I should keep my mouth shut, but I'm not going to.
This phone for Verizon's listening to you. Watch out.
Yeah,
they are, but they're always listening.
4 to 5 years I had this phone. I won't change it. Now Taylor, on the other hand, a new one comes out, and she's ready to get rid of the brand new one and get a new one. So that's more money for me.
Okay. All right.
More money for me to spend, I guess.
Actually, I do have another tech question for you, but we'll get to that in a bit. I don't want to keep our guests waiting too much longer. Just saw him last night this week, of course, as a part of The Way in NXT. He was also one of Seth Rollins' disciples back around WrestleMania last year. He is the one and only Austin Theory. Welcome to Table Talk, sir.
Hey, Austin. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm great.
How
are you guys?
Finally got you on the show. We're doing good, man.
I'm
just happy that you're on the show.
Yes, sir.
So, how's it feel to be back in the groove of things, just going?
So this Friday is officially back in the arena, so that's really cool.
Now, you excited about that with the fans coming back into the arenas?
Yes, absolutely, man. That's like that's the energy. That's what we live off of. So it's going to be amazing.
Now, you were there at the Performance Center when we just started doing it without the fans and things like that. How was that for you?
Very different. Even coming from the independents and even wrestling in front of 5 people is great, but nobody is. It's a little weird, man.
Well, and that was the great thing about some of the stuff that we did, because we were able to, especially when they weren't live, we were able to go and shoot out of order. We didn't have to have the match. Like match 1 could have been the last match of the night when we were filming it, but in post, production, they can edit it and put it all together and put it right back to number 1 again. I think that was one of the great things, and I think a lot of the boys liked it too. When you shot out of order, if you were last, you can go on first and be done with it, and these guys can leave and go home or what have you. But it's hard when you do that live, and I think that was a big plus for a lot of the guys in the ring. I'm just glad that I stopped wrestling before it happened. I felt sorry for you guys because I know how important it is to have a crowd and to hear the people. So that way it gets your adrenaline going. Not only that, but in certain aspects, if something messes up in the ring, you have to call a quick audible. And sometimes you got to be on your feet because the man who owns the sandbox is watching. So you got to be full alert. So, and I know that was very difficult for a lot of people. But, again, we got through it. And now this coming Houston, we're going to be live in front of fans. And we got Money in the Bank coming up this Sunday as well. And then, of course, Monday Night Raw follows. Along with, again, I think I left it out, Friday Night SmackDown this Friday in Houston. So I'm looking forward to that. I think a lot of people are, and just can't wait to see how everything rolls again. I know the energy is going to be crazy.
Oh man!
Now you ready for that?
I was going to say, Austin, though, as a part of NXT, has been in front of crowds for a little while now. The Capitol Wrestling Center has had growing attendance over the last couple of months, so that had to have helped a little bit.
Yeah, it's great. Like I said, that's the energy. It's always been what, it doesn't matter how you feel in the ring. If you're exhausted, if you're tired, for some weird reason, you can keep going just because of the, when you hear your name being chanted and stuff like that, like it just drives you. So it's just great. And just having, like I said, like 100 fans, 200 fans, 300 fans, however each week it's building up, it's just great.
Now,
awesome.
Austin, where did you get your start?
So I started wrestling. I'm from Atlanta, but I started wrestling in Atlanta at a school called WWE 4.
Oh, okay. How long were you in that school for?
So, I mean, you never really graduate wrestling school. I guess just when you stop coming, I guess.
Yeah, that's usually the case.
Yeah, right.
And you got guys like me who own the wrestling school going, hey, when you're coming back, I need to get paid. Hello.
Yeah, I was good about that because I think mine was like, it just cost at the time. I don't want to say that it is like this now because some guys might get mad. But I think it was just like $1,000 like for forever pretty much. So for me, it was just like I'd pay $300 one month and then I would just pay it like that until it was paid off. So
Listen,
I never
don't apologize. Don't apologize. Listen, I was always taught this, and Vince said this best. If you're gonna make a deal, if your deal is better than the other man, then don't get mad at the guy that got the great deal. Get mad at yourself because you didn't get the deal that you wanted that he got. Then I mean, what the hell? It ain't his fault. You know. I mean,
How much do you charge, Dvon?
Yeah, let's hear this.
Yeah, $3,500 for the year. $3,500 for the year. If you can't do that all up front, if you do it all up front, we knock off $500. If you can't do it all up front, then it's $500 down, $250 a month.
Oh, that's
for
good.
1 year. Yeah. So I mean, that's not bad. It breaks it down, And then after you're done with the $3,500 payment, then it's $100 a month if you continue to stay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
So you gotta
Good deal.
I don't know.
Listen,
Sounds like it.
we got over
All the
100
wrestling schools I've been to
Yes.
charge way more than that.
Lindsay ain't never been in a wrestling school. Listen, Austin, I had her go to my school. I said, okay, take a bump. She was like, I don't want to.
It was so intimidating. I've never seen that in real life.
We had to force her to get into the ring itself just to step into the ring.
Yeah.
Oh, I was worried that
she was
they were
one of
gonna
those. She's like one of those reporters, Oh, I can do this. This is not a problem. Don't worry about it. And then when they got there, it was like, oh my God, I don't want to break a nail.
I didn't say that. I didn't want to mess up my hair.
I think one of my favorite things is, people have their own perception of professional wrestling, and they're always like, oh, the ring's like a trampoline, right? And like the ring right there, I'm like, oh, of course, just go in there and fall. And they're like,
no, it was not as soft as I was expecting.
Oh, no, not at all.
I love it. And then when people ask like news reporters and all of that, they like to, it's like they're exposing the business, professional wrestling's fake. Then they come down to a wrestling school or they go to a ring and they get in the ring and they get in there like, oh man, this is a lot tougher than I thought. And then we go, well, why don't you just take a bump? And they take that bump and then electricity shoots through their body. And they're just like, oh, they're like, never mind. I'm out. Oh, I love it when the guys who watch UFC, and I've seen some of the comments they make on some of the wrestling YouTube stuff. Oh, well, I don't want to watch this. This is fake fight. If I want to watch the real thing, I watch UFC. This is why, guys, a lot of guys from UFC are coming to us because they are getting beat down to the point where they can't walk, they can't move, and they're thinking about their longevity. Mm-hmm. They come into professional wrestling. Here's the deal. What we do isn't fake because you can't do it. You can't do what we do because if you did, you'd be there. But we get a lot of respect from a lot of MMA guys that come into our world and try to do our stuff. And they say, man, this is hard because we're doing it night after night. We do it Monday. It was almost like when we were on the road full time. You start Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and don't even talk about in between when you got to drive 200 and 300 miles to the next town and then get your hotels and all of that. And listen, you still got to work out and stay in the gym because you just can't do it when you're home for 2 days because you're going to look like shit on TV. So now you still got to put all of that in perspective and then fly to the next town, do all of that, and then still be alert on Monday night or Friday night for SmackDown or Monday Night Raw.
You know what though? You know what sucks the most? It's those 300 miles in between. That's like way worse than the match.
It
like,
is.
Because you're not moving your muscles at all, though, right? So it's just like, yeah.
Unless you're like me, the passenger side, and the music is on and you dancing and you can't really dance, but you're doing some crazy shit, thinking you're breakdancing in your seat, and nobody's videotaping you, so nobody would ever know what the hell you're doing in there.
Can you give us an example?
No, I cannot give you an example. So you can take that video and crop it and make some other videos and freaking on Twitter.
I would never do that.
Yeah, he does, Austin. These two they're always looking for me to sing, dance, and do all of that. See?
No, we
Cut
are
him off
your
right
friends.
there, Austin.
Okay, how about I save you on this one here? I like this question a lot. John wants to know, Austin, you're the funniest seller ever. Why you sell so hard?
I just think I react. You know, that's it. I mean, there's not much thought there, and I think that's why it comes off so good. You know.
Well, you know what, Austin, I gotta say this: the guys in this business who made the money and actually did something in this business were excellent sellers. You know, and I give you a prime example. Not taking anything away from him, but Hogan. You know, Hogan. You know, when in his younger days, before I saw the younger Hulk Hogan when he first broke in, you didn't think he knew how to do any chain wrestling or anything. He's up in Japan doing wrist locks, takedowns, and all of that. But when he came back to the States, he's just doing the leg drop, the this and this and the pose, and that was it. So you didn't think Hogan had anything in his repertoire. But now all of a sudden, it's like guys like Hogan, you see that and you're just like, wait a minute, I don't get it. But he's selling. That's what it is. They would beat him down to where you felt so bad for Hogan that you wanted him to come back and beat the bad guy. And that was it. The Rock, all of them, same thing. Everybody who's made money in this business knew how to sell. And that was the most important part. Everybody's like, oh, I want to do the comeback. I want to do the comeback. I want to beat people's asses. No. Have that person beat my ass. Let me look out in the front row to that one fan that I can make eye contact with. And as I'm reaching out to him because I'm getting my ass beat, I'm like, help, help, help. And right there, that's where the sympathy draws in for the crowd to be interactive, because they think for that one split second, if they're chanting your name or cheering you on, that they're a part of that match and they're dictating how that match goes. If you know how to sell, you're going to make a lot of money in this business.
Yeah. And Dvon was definitely the king of selling, as our viewer says. He would twitch like crazy, feet jiggle all over the place when you got a chair shot.
Yes, I did.
Oh, now, Austin, were you always a good seller, or is that something that you say you don't think about it now, but when you started, was it natural?
So for me, I've actually, I just feel like a lot of guys are, they're embarrassed to sell. Like everybody has this weird thing where, they want to look strong and they don't want to ever look weak. But I think that's a really big miss thing in wrestling is like, like Dvon said, like being able to sell and being able to, show that sympathy is what gets people behind you, because a guy that's always strong and, never loses, never goes through anything, always looks tough. People can't relate to that because, you don't always have a good day and things aren't always going well. So I feel like you need something to relate to. And it's like, if you're behind this guy, and he's getting his ass kicked, you're like, man, like, I want to be there. I want to support this guy, but he's, and just the sympathy and even the small things, like just making eye contact with one person and sticking with that person the whole match, and them feeling that, and they'll look over to the next person and be like, hey, like, you see this? And then there's another one. And it just kind of, over time, even though it's one person, it builds up. But I just think that's, like Dvon said, like the selling's so important. And that's what I found is, I just love that part, because to me that it's like live stunt acting, I feel like, and it's very, there's no retakes we do. It's live. If something goes wrong, as performers, we, have that pride in ourselves to keep going. Even when fans have no idea, like something could have like really, really rocked us and we keep going. They have no idea about it. And it's just one of those things like, just being able to, be perfect at every single level. And I think selling is just something that's so important. And, you know, you don't look weak selling. Like that's never, you know, like you just can't go and watch a superhero movie and, you know, like Spider-Man, he's just like beating everybody up the whole time. You're just not going to care.
It's boring, yeah. It's old after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, when Hogan was in there, he might not have done too much wrestling like he did in Japan by the time he got back to the States, AWA, WWE, but he knew how to sell and he knew how to make that connection with the fans. And that's so important. And I remember if we went to the ring first, I would get to the ring. Of course, we're waiting for our opponents to come down. I would sit there and look at every single one of those fans, try to look at every single one of those fans in the front row and try to make some type of connection with them. So by the time it got to the point where in the match, I'm getting my ass beat, I'm looking for that person and reaching out for them. And I'm like, and I'm doing the old help me, you know, and they're freaking, they're eating it up and they're going, get off him, boo, you know, they're booing the bad guy. And it's a great thing. That's when you learn how to work. Yeah. Someone just made a comment about my grandmother, and that comment is true. I was in the ring, ECW. I was selling my behind off. I was doing the shaking and all of that, and I'm bleeding. And, you know, the one person who knows me best was my grandmother at the time, and she ran in the back and said, are you okay? Are you okay? Like she told security, that's my grandson. I'm coming back there.
Aww.
And she went back there, and she goes, Vaughn, are you okay? She didn't call me Dvon. Vaughn, are you okay? And I'm like, Grandma, I'm fine. What are you doing back here? She was like, boy, if you ever do that again, stop. She gave me a heart attack. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. From that point on, I never let her come back to a match. Because I was getting beat up not only by the guys in the ring, but my grandmother. She used to come in the back and beat my ass.
Oh, man.
Because I scared her to death. Oh, it was great.
Oh,
wow.
That's so funny.
It was great.
So it worked.
It worked, but it worked too good because my grandmother was whipping my ass. God rest her soul. Thank you, Grandma.
Oh,
that's good.
Thank you.
That's good. Now, from an outsider that's looking into this, how do you pick that one person? Like, let's say Austin, I'm going to put you on the spot. All three of us are in the crowd, and you're trying to do this big comeback. Who do you target? Like, we're all reacting the same. Who do you target to be the one to help you with your comeback?
I just feel like, you know, let's just start at the entrance. You know, you're in the moment, but you're observing, you know, and you see who's really into it. And then as you get closer to the ring, you're like, okay, because obviously the guy that's, you know, up in the stands, I can't try to make eye contact with him. So, I mean, maybe somebody can. I don't have that superpower, but yeah, just like, you know, as you're coming to the ring, though, you kind of find that person and somebody that's just looks like they're just so thrilled to, you know, be there. Hopefully everybody is, because I don't know why you'd be there if you're not. But yeah, just finding that person, you know, and I'm sure Dvon knows this. Like sometimes you might have somebody picked and it just doesn't seem like it's working, you know. So you have to go to somebody else. One. Yeah. And
I would look for the person that basically had like, and this is not cracking on you, Lindsay, but when I see you, I don't see a wrestling fan. In other words, I see somebody that's coming in there to enjoy the show because their boyfriend dragged them
exactly.
along.
That's why I would be there.
And I'm looking at you and I'm just like, Lindsay, please call the cops. I'm getting my ass beat, please. And
is he for real?
A person like you would go, oh my God, he's getting his ass kicked. This is not right. Wait a minute.
Is this normal?
Yeah.
It's okay. Come on, get up.
Have you gotten that, Austin? Have you gotten anything like that?
Like the girlfriend in the crowd?
Yeah.
He's gone home with the girlfriend. Come on.
Yeah, I feel like usually the guy is not a fan after that.
Yeah, it's probably not.
And then Dvon, what would you do if it was somebody like me? That'd be like, yes, Dvon, block that with your face. I'm like, how do you respond to people like me?
A lot of times it was great because we had guys in the front row that would act like that. And so if we fought on the outside, this was great until WWE told me to stop. I throw the guy to the outside. I start beating him up. Then I'd see somebody with a water bottle or a beer, and I would grab it out of their hand, and I have the guy right here. I would hold him. Before I punch him, have it in my hand and right on the top of the forehead because I'm not really hurting him on the forehead. I'm giving my secrets away. But I would hit him, boom, and the stuff would go, the beer or the water would go everywhere. And, of course, the guy that was being a jerk in the front row, he would get doused with beer or water. It was great. I did it in
That's
ECW
great.
all the time. Now ECW was different. I would take the cup of beer and just throw it in the guy's face, and that was it. It was like there was no trying to play it off like I was hitting the guy, and it flew everywhere.
Nice.
That's so funny.
Nice. Now, I want to ask Austin what it's like being in the way. You have three very talented individuals. Gargano is basically the face of NXT over the last couple of years. It seems like it's a blast. Seems like you guys are always having fun.
Yeah, it's not a group. It's not a faction. It's definitely a family. Okay. That's why I think it's so different. These past few weeks, though, we've all kind of been doing our own thing, and we've been away from each other. But at the end of the day, we're a family, and I think that's why everything clicks. I remember like when it first started, and we were like, hey, we're going to put this group together. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, these, they don't fit. Nobody looks like they go like with each other. But I think now people are like, oh, wow, like it's like a family. Like Johnny's the dad and Candace is the mom and Austin's the son and, Indi's the daughter. So I think it's came across really well.
It's been a blast watching you guys do what you do. Yeah. And it really has. We had somebody ask in the chat your thoughts on Index.
Right.
Of course, Indi Hartwell and Dexter Lumis.
Sorry, my daughter.
So I don't want my mom, Candace, to get mad at me. But, me and Dexter, we've had a crazy past. But I think it's okay. I think it's good. All right. John might get mad about that, but I think it's good.
You see, you would like that, Lindsay. There's this romantic element to his sister storyline right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm down.
She's into that stuff. And you know what? It was girls like her that we never thought would be interested in watching wrestling until The Rock came along. And they weren't interested in beating up. They were just interested in seeing The Rock with no shirt on and tights. And it was like, and for us, though, the guys, we enjoyed it because that means these hot women were coming to the shows. And we were like, yes. But if The Rock was at the party or, in the bar with us, we weren't getting anybody. And we were all going to The Rock. And like, damn. So it was good and it was bad in a way. So you just never knew. You just never knew. Because then, you'd be the featured one. You'd be like, oh, you're a wrestler. You're the WWE guy. Oh, yeah, I was at the match tonight. Oh, yeah, I was the guy that put people through tables. Oh, I thought that was great. Oh, man, you are great. You are good. And I was like, thank you. And all of a sudden, if you smell, you come into the bar, and next thing you know, the girls will be like, excuse me 1 second.
And you'll never see them again.
Never see them again.
Who's the biggest ladies man in NXT, Austin?
Let's see. God, I'm really trying to think, It's a lot of grungy dudes in NXT.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, you got guys with beards look like bikers and all of that. Yeah, you really don't have that.
You got the Viking Raiders on Raw, Dvon, so
right.
I mean they.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Austin probably has the only pretty face in NXT.
It have to be right?
Got that baby face.
That's it, man.
All right. Okay.
Hey, who inspired you to get into the business? Who inspired you to want to do this? And who did you look up to?
John Cena. That was
really.
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
Yeah, that was always a big motivator for me when I was younger. In a way, it's almost like stuff that I was going through at a very young age. I was able to tune in to Raw or SmackDown, whatever show he was on. But honestly, he was a big part of it. But even just wrestling, I just found that was my escape from a lot of stuff. And I still feel like today, that's why people watch stuff, And then that's what always gets me too is when somebody's like, oh, you're a wrestler. I used to watch it, but, it's not real. And to me, I feel like, there's Star Wars, there's The Mandalorian, there's all these Marvel movies, there's these Netflix shows. You're watching all these shows. Clearly, they're not real, but you're watching you're watching all these shows to escape. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just that's what's always got me when people say that. So you're telling me you don't watch it because it's not real, but, you're watching all this stuff and it's so you can escape from reality. So to me, that's what helped me when I was younger was wrestling. And I think that love just kept growing and growing. And I constantly got told, when you're 16 or when you're 17 or you're 18, you're going to grow out of it and you're not going to want to do it. And I was like, man, you just don't know me. I'm going to do this,
Yeah. And I think that was a lot like during the Attitude Era, because the Attitude Era was so story driven,
Right.
that everybody, you knew their character and what they were about, and the biggest one was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
How many guys wanted to go to work and punch their bosses in the face that were acting like jerks? And Austin came out and did that in his storyline. He came out, he told Mr. McMahon what he was going to do to him, and he did it.
Yeah.
And, it was like one of those things. I mean, you live vicariously through Austin. Mm-hmm. How many guys out there that are so cocky and arrogant, but yet always get chastised for it or, ridiculed about it, but yet The Rock is going out there being as, whatever you want to call it, over the top with it, and yet he's being loved by millions of people. I mean, people live vicariously through the characters in pro wrestling, and I think that's what makes it work. I had a conversation with a guy at a dealership, and we were talking about UFC and pro wrestling. When the UFC had Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, and all those stars back then, they had charisma and character to them. You knew them. The UFC really played off of that. It was like they took a page out of wrestling. Once those guys left, there was nobody to fill that void anymore to attract, except Brock Lesnar comes in. Now he's the ultimate heel. Now everybody wants to see him get his ass kicked because he's cocky and arrogant about it. Yeah. And, it was like, and then he started beating people's asses. They were waiting for the next best thing to come around and beat him. So it was an attraction when you saw Brock Lesnar. And, then Brock left, came back to WWE, so there was no one there to fill that void. And then Ronda Rousey comes in, takes a page out of Roddy Piper's book. And now Ronda's coming out there and being the face of UFC and bringing it back. And now she's gone. It seems like McGregor's doing it. But now after what happened this past Saturday, McGregor's going to be out for a long time.
Yeah.
To get that leg healed. But
that was vicious. Yeah,
but it's amazing how pro wrestling can influence so many people in so many sports. And they want to call us fake, but yet you need to take a page out of our book in order to make your product successful. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel.
Yeah.
You ever cut a promo like around the Thanksgiving dinner table there, Austin? Throw like a big fit. Like, I'm just kidding. Yeah, let's see. Pass it over. Pass the cranberry.
I think sometimes I've messed around with some of my friends and just in the middle of somewhere, and like people are like, and then just walk off, and they have no idea. But,
that's great.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's more so. Yeah, so I guess it's more so not for my friend. It's more so for people around. Like, yo, what's wrong with this guy?
I love it. Great. I love it. Another question here. John had one earlier. What's it like? What was it like with your run with Seth Rollins, and did he give you any advice?
So it was great. I think really any experience with somebody higher up is always really good. It was a crazy time, man. Just the way, like Dvon said at the beginning, how we were filming stuff so randomly, like, I knew I was doing WrestleMania, but it didn't seem like it because everything was going so fast. And it was like Wednesday, we're going to do Raw. And then, Thursday, we're going to film WrestleMania. And everything was just so boom, boom, boom. And then they're like, hey, you're not going to be in this group anymore. You're going to be with Seth Rollins now. And I think, just getting to sit there and watch, honestly, he was always cool. Like, anytime I had a question, anything I wanted to ask, he was always there giving advice. But it was just such a busy time, and everybody was such like on their toes. We were just kind of in the, the work mindset and just constantly like, let's get this done. Let's do this. Let's do that. So it wasn't really like, I guess how it would be going back on the road where, hey, we know what we're doing. We know we're doing it on Monday. We know we're doing this on Friday. We're going to the pay-per-view on Sunday. And I feel like there's more time to like really learn from somebody. I feel like if I did have more time with him, there would definitely be a lot more I would learn. But yeah, it was just such a hectic time. But the experience was great. I wouldn't, pass that up or ever skip that moment in my life. I think, I'm a strong believer in everything happens for a reason. So it was just real cool, real great experience.
And that got you on WrestleMania, right?
So that was actually, I was with Seth after the WrestleMania. But
okay.
I think Andrade was hurt at the time. And
yeah.
So I teamed with Garza and we did that whole thing. And then they they just realized, I was the ladies' man, so they had to kick me. So, yeah.
Well, you know what? Sometimes it's the pretty guys, the good-looking guys that get the boot. Unfortunately, the good guys, and Seth being the Messiah, he had to do what he did. But hey, Seth, he probably needs you back now, especially with Cesaro kicking his butt.
Yeah, right.
He probably needs you back now. Buddy Murphy didn't work too well with him. It didn't work for him too well. And those two wind up going at it and things like that. And, everybody else that ever came in Seth's corner, but you were actually, you were the guy. You were the guy that was in Seth's corner the whole time. And maybe he made a mistake in letting you go. Maybe he should have kept you around because maybe, again, Cesaro wouldn't be getting the upper hand on him sometimes.
Yeah. But hey, who's to know, what the future holds, We could
never know.
Be standing next to each other, or we could be standing right in front of each other.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So.
And, and I found out that even being in the ring with guys, they don't have to be right beside you. You can still learn so much with being against them face to face. It's incredible the knowledge that you can have when you work with guys,
Absolutely.
that have been in the business before you, that know how to get things done and how to do business the right way, and you learn from them. It's always great to see guys like Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and those guys who are at the top of the food chain now, and even John Cena when he was with the company before he went to go make movies. I could see them always giving advice to the young talent that came out up to the main roster. They were very, very good with that, and we need that nowadays because we don't have that pretty much anymore. And like I tell a lot of my students, a lot of the guys from my era, unfortunately, are no longer with us. So, it's important for myself, along with people that are still here, that were from the Attitude Era and things like that, to help out the younger guys coming up, because that's the only way we're going to keep this business striving if we don't do what we have to do to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super important.
Yep.
All right, last thing I got here on the interview. I don't know if Dvon or Lindsay have anything, but what do you think, Austin? Dvon's never wrestled in a Royal Rumble. Do you think we could get him in the 2022 edition?
Is that true?
Yeah, every time there was a Royal Rumble, Bubba and I always had a tag match. We were fighting for the titles, or we were in some type of big match. Yeah.
He's never been in the Rumble.
In the Royal Rumble. Now, Bubba was in the Royal Rumble in 2015, January. And while we had just left TNA, and we were free agents, so Bubba was able to go and do that. But of course, Dvon was left in the dust like always. They didn't call me. I was hurt, but it was okay. The people were still chanting my name, and I wasn't even there.
Hey, that sounds good to me. It sounds like that sounds better than being in the role.
I was about to say, yeah, my body.
You're like, actually.
No pain, I was over it. I wasn't even there.
Yeah. So 2022 is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
2022. Oh boy, I got to get my legs going and get my health, make sure that's okay. And once I do that, then if WWE, if Vince would allow me to play in his sandbox, I definitely wouldn't hesitate to say yes to it.
Sounds good. All right.
I want to be in the crowd for that. Whenever it happens.
That's a Vince McMahon's call. That's not my call.
When it happens, I want to be in that crowd. Not if, because in wrestling, retirements don't matter. Come on.
Austin,
Exactly.
you and I get along super great. And listen, I will lay down for you any day of the week. But I just want to say, if I'm in that Rumble and you're there, I want you to eliminate me. Now, when you do, throw me nice and easy over the top, because my bones break now. So it's not like that ECW way where I would, no pain. I'm a tough guy. No.
John Cena strength, Austin. Just
nice and easy over the top rope, and I'll go.
I don't know if this is like a old schooler trick though, because you're telling me I'm gonna throw you out, but I don't know, dude. You might pick me up.
I wouldn't do that, Austin. Never.
How it goes. We work together to put somebody out, and then you grab my leg and throw me back. That's how this works.
Now listen, with all due respect, it would not be my fault if you tripped and went over the top rope. I'm just saying. So you got to make sure that you hook that rope so you don't go over the top.
Man.
Hey, be like the school teacher. Take my ear and throw me over. Oh man. Well, Austin, listen, thank you so much for being on the show. We got to let you go. I know that, but before we do, where can we find Austin Theory on social media?
So I'm just on Twitter and Instagram. The Instagram is Austin_theory, and the Twitter is Austin Theory 1.
All right. So there are no. If anything, if anybody sees your picture and your likeness on Facebook, that's a fraud. That's not real, right?
Yeah, that's a fraud. And then all my accounts are verified. So just look out for that.
Why do you have Austin Theory 1? Who has Austin Theory?
Dude, I don't know.
We need to track this fella down.
I guess
somebody has it.
Second one.
Some of the fans out there will take the littlest thing and just run with it.
Yeah, there's I think I have 100 Instagram profiles of me, and I'm like, all right, whatever we're doing here.
It's got to be annoying, but oddly flattering too.
Yeah, it's funny when I have a friend and they're like, I just got Instagram. Like, how can I find you? There's 100 profiles. And sometimes I'm like, oh, just choose one. They're all
just pick one.
Meanwhile, by the time he gets to the last one, if this ain't him, I'm gonna. Oh, it is him. Oh my God, it's Austin.
I think.
Yeah.
Again, though, we appreciate your time today, Austin. Good luck. Keep entertaining us in the way. And if you do go back to the main roster, then please toss Dvon out.
Absolutely. I definitely will. But I never go back. I always go forward.
There you go.
Awesome.
There you go. Love it.
Great.
Awesome. You take care of yourself, and I definitely will be seeing you soon, my friend.
Yes, sir. All right, you guys. Be safe.
Thank you, Austin.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye, buddy. That was cool. I love Austin. He was a good guy.
So sweet.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, what's going on, man? Dante says he's had many a drunken night trying to score a birdie on Golden Tee.
Oh, Golden Tee.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why.
Dvon. Yeah.
That's why. Now, of course, sticking with the pro wrestling, before we move over into more pop culture topics here, Dvon wanted to kind of open up and give some thoughts about Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, which let me go ahead, take that scrolling banner off there, give you the screen.
Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, was probably, one of the greatest heels of all time. And I can't begin to thank him enough. I never had the pleasure of meeting Paul. Autograph signings. I remember I was shy. He was at the same autograph signing that I was, and I was a little intimidated and shy to go up to say hello to him. But, again, one of the first main eventers, along with 3 other guys at WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania, helped pioneer, put that on the map, help my generation, and now the generation that's going on now, to have these WrestleManias. If it wasn't for him, Piper, Hogan, and Mr. T, so many great things came out of Orndorff being in that ring. Prime example, what we were just talking about, selling. I used to try to emulate Mr. Wonderful every time he was in that ring, the way he sold. I thought it was magic. And, and if people don't know what that means, selling is when your opponent hits you and you react to it. And the way Orndorff did it, it was so good that I tried to mimic him in the ring as a bad guy and even as a face. I tried to be just like him and sell with that leg dropping back and everything when he got hit. He was truly an amazing athlete. And of course, when you look at the pictures and the videos, incredible body, probably one of the best bodies in professional wrestling. And anybody that knew Orndorff and got knowledge from him would tell you he was probably one of the smartest men in the business too. I mean, listen, as far as I'm concerned, I feel that Orndorff should have gotten a lot more credit for his in-ring performance and what he did for this business, because he was truly a pioneer. He was truly one of the best, and he's going to be missed. Mr. Wonderful, thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for all the great memories, and thank you for letting me see my first live steel cage match on Saturday night's main event against Hulk Hogan. It was probably one of the best, the double dropping, both men coming out of the ring and landing at the same time. It was perfect. I mean, that was one of the things that stand out the most, him turning on Hogan, going back to the Heenan family. I mean, thank you, Orndorff. Thank you for everything that you've done. And I'm sure you're up there with Bobby and Mr. Perfect and, Andre and the rest of the Heenan family up there doing it all over again. Thank you for everything, Mr. Wonderful. You'll be missed. Rest in peace, my brother.
Some kind words right there from Dvon Dudley. And for a guy who is a king of selling to then, honor the guy that inspired you to sell so well is even cooler right there.
I mean, the Hogan generation has no idea the influence that they had on me. I mean, here it is. I'm a kid growing up in Brooklyn, New York in the projects, and my father really wasn't around. The one who I call my father, the Reverend, he didn't come in until I was like 14 or 15. So, that the Hogan generation watching TV, they were my role models. They kept me off the street. They kept me out, doing bad things when I was growing up in Brooklyn. And also they gave me the incentive to go out there and to want to, do what I'm doing right now. I mean, it was because of that generation. So I'm very honored to each and every one of those guys during the Hogan and Andre era for the influence that you gave me, not having a father figure, but looking up to these guys like they were. I mean, it was truly an amazing time for me. And anytime that I go on Instagram or Twitter and people put up the Hogan and Andre era videos, and especially when I know what it is, like I've seen it and I remember where I was at the time, I'm like a little kid all over again. That's my time machine. People go, we wish we had a time machine to go back. All you have to do is look at the videos, look at the pictures, and know where you were back then when you saw that at that age. And you can lose yourself if you let yourself go, lose yourself, and you're back in that time again. And I do that all the time. That's why I'm a huge fan on Instagram. I'm a huge fan of it. Huge fan. I watch it all the time. I follow some of the 80s Instagram, what do you call those things? What do you call them? Instagram sites.
Accounts.
Accounts, yeah. I follow them because it brings back so many memories. And, again, I'm so thankful for not only this business, but the Hogan and Andre era. And, that's why I'm Dvon Dudley today.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was not named the number one tag team in WWE. There was a multi-part series that many of you have probably watched of the top 50 teams. And Dvon, do you know where the Dudley Boys fell?
I believe it was 5.
That is correct.
Yes.
Oh,
I believe it was 5. Listen, I say this. Out of 100, listen, if they want to say the Dudley Boys are 5, thank you very, very much. And listen, I love the New Day. I know they would pick number 1, but I love the New Day. But here's my thing. These guys are just getting started. And I say that even though they've been wrestling in WWE now and they've had memorable matches for the past 4 or 5 years. But I feel they still have a lot more to do and a lot more to accomplish. So I don't know if I would have put them at number 1 this fast because you got the Road Warriors, the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express, Telling It On, Doc and Gordy. I mean, you have so many tag teams that really should have been number 1. I am under the impression that the Road Warriors, and I've said this millions of times, the Road Warriors are number 1.
Well, some of the teams that you named are not exactly as high as you feel they should be on the list. So did you know anything about the list before this was revealed?
No, I didn't. I did not know about it. I actually, when I'm in the gym and I'm doing cardio, whether the elliptical or the bike, I basically put my phone right there on the thing and I go to YouTube and I watch some of the videos. So when you scroll down after your video is over, you see possible videos you might want to watch. That was one of them. And I clicked on it. I was like, oh, let me see.
Okay.
Let me see. So listen, New Day has done a tremendous job in the last 4 or 5 years in what they've done. I'm very good friends with all 3 of them. And, they are very humble guys. And I'm sure they were ecstatic when they heard that they were picked number 1. And I know Big E went public on Twitter and said a couple of things about being number 1. He was thankful, but he also didn't forget about the guys that came before him. And I believe he's also mentioned them as well. So, I know some people are going to be very upset, but listen, I use it like this. You got this new generation, the millenniums, they talk about LeBron James. LeBron James being the greatest of all time. I totally disagree with that. And I'm not knocking LeBron. I think LeBron is a hell of an athlete, hell of a basketball player. I think he's done tremendous in his career. and he's probably got a couple more years left in him. But Michael Jordan, you had to have been in the 90s and the 80s in order to feel what Jordan did, and that's all I got to say about that topic. Because as far as I'm concerned, Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. Let me just say this, and Mo, and I think you're a sports fan, and you know this.
Mm-hmm.
I like sports.
When you said something about Michael Jordan, when you told him he couldn't drive in, and they were going to stop him or what have you, and they said that in the documentary they did, he would make you pay for that.
I took that personally. Yep.
Yeah, I took that personally. When the coaches would say, we're going to stop Jordan, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and Jordan was like, oh, really? And Jordan did something else. I've never seen LeBron do that. I've never seen people call out LeBron and LeBron go out there and make them pay. I've never seen that before. So therefore, as far as I'm concerned, with everything that Michael Jordan has accomplished and what he's done, the Bulls had a solid team. When Jordan left and went to go play baseball, they basically fell apart. It was never the same. And how much fear did Michael Jordan put in the whole NBA at that time when they played against each other on the court? How much fear? Jordan, everybody was scared of Jordan. They didn't want to match up with him. They were nervous. And the ones that did and talked shit about him, they paid the ultimate price for it.
I didn't pay attention to anything you just said there. I take it that you are saying the New Day is the LeBron of tag teams. That's what I heard there.
I'm not going to say that. No, I'm saying
the Dudleys are Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
no, listen to what I'm saying. Stop talking. Listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, this generation will probably pick the New Day because they weren't there during the Road Warriors. They weren't there during the Doc and Gordon era. They weren't there during the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express. They weren't there during the Telling It On. So they're going to say the New Day. They're going to say that. Just like in the 80s, we say the 80s basketball was great, but then you have those like my parents that will say the 70s was great, during that time, the Celtics and the Lakers rivalry and things like that. So my point to that is the people that picked, the New Day, I get that. But again, you had to feel the energy back then with the NWA, the AWA, and the WWF, not WWE, WWF back in the day, and how the teams back then, made their money, did what they did. I'm not disputing it. All I'm saying is that I think each generation is going to believe what they believe, who's number one. And I'm not even putting Bubba and myself as being number one, but I am going to say the Road Warriors, in my opinion, I thought should have been number one. Not the Dudleys, but the Road Warriors. I still say that to this day.
Okay, Road Warriors are Michael Jordan. New Day's LeBron. You are Allen Iverson. Isaiah Thomas. Who are you?
Well, listen, if you want to put me as Isaiah Thomas as the bad boys,
there you go.
Of the bad boys of basketball, that's fine, because they made a hell of a name and a hell of a thing for themselves back. The Detroit Pistons were legit badasses, and Michael Jordan put them over as saying they were the toughest physical team that he has ever been on the court with.
So with spoilers, if you haven't seen the list, we've already talked. You've already revealed some of the list. New Day 1, Hardy Boys 2, Hart Foundation 3, and then one of my favorite running jokes that I don't think Dvon appreciates as much is when a guest comes on the show and says, "Oh, it's an honor to be on your show, Dvon. One half the greatest tag team of all time." I always ask, which half, Edge or Christian?
Yeah,
they're number 4, one spot above the Dudleys.
Oh, interesting.
And that's fine, but again, you want to talk about how many titles we've had, and 24-time World Tag Team Champions. No other tag team has ever done that before.
I want to point out that this list is very WWE centric, that it didn't seem like there was a lot of outside company influence on this list as much as other lists. So I think if you were putting together NWA, WCW, ECW, TNA even, I think you would probably be top 3, Road Warriors number 1, and some of these other names are a little bit lower on the list because they are just so WWE centric.
Again, I don't know if that's the case about me and Bubba being number 1 or number 3. I don't know. It's very hard for me to say it. Listen, I know that a lot of the, this generation, again, I think it's whoever's hot at that time they're going to say is the greatest of all time. The New Day happen to be, on top. They're the team now, and you got the Usos right behind them, right on their tails and things like that. So I don't know. It all depends on who you ask. But I tell you what, if you get some real historians that can actually put all of this together, I think the outcome would be so totally different.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing who in the future are named the 2021 Phoenix Suns team, which tag team eventually becomes my Phoenix Suns, and I will support them forever.
I bet you would, but it won't be the
good stuff. So last stretch of the show here.
Hold on. Last stretch, but I just want to say I like that. See, you put me over without even putting me over. Didn't even realize it. In terms of you compared me to Isaiah Thomas. Listen, I would love to be part of that Bad Boys team. That was great. That was great. Detroit Pistons. Yes, I wasn't a fan of theirs, but I definitely wouldn't have mind being in the same category as the W's and the Detroit Pistons.
I tossed it up between Isaiah Thomas or Sean Kemp, who has a lot of kids with different mothers.
Oh,
yeah, that's not me. I've only got 3 baby mamas. One that I'm married to right now. Not that I know of. All my kids I've had with my 3 wives that I married, and my wife now, Taylor.
And maybe that one in Germany.
I'm
not quite sure if that kid is still in Germany or not.
No kid in Germany.
Yeah.
Nope, that was clear. But
could be 4.
My first, the twins' mom,
maybe 5.
The twins'
Who
mom,
knows?
love her to death. She's great. She was good, but the second one, not so much.
At least 9. Sean Kemp was at 12 or 13, so you're not as bad as him.
No, well, Matt Hardy's catching up to me. He just had a baby. I just want to say congratulations to Matt Hardy.
Oh, cool.
Don't know. Congratulations on a new birth, a new arrival of your child. And Matt, you're only down 2. You need to catch up 2 more times. Two more times, and we're tied.
There.
I know Kurt tied me. Kurt either tied me or he beat me. I'm not sure. I think he has more. But I think we're still 3 is enough for you, baby, but I like more. Sorry. Nope. I got 6 and I loved every bit of it. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, and I mean you got at least 4 because you forgot about Byron Saxton.
Shit.
Oh,
I ain't got no.
That's right. How could you forget about him? That's terrible.
Easy. He's very forgiving. I'm gonna be like, listen. I'm gonna be like Corey Graves to Byron Saxton, but I'm gonna say it to Lindsay. Shut up, Lindsay. There you go.
Okay.
See, she doesn't get it.
No, I don't.
That's what Corey Graves, who's the announcer with Byron on TV, would say all the time. It's like a running joke. It's like a running thing. So he would say, "Shut up, Saxton," and I'm telling you, "Shut up, Lindsay."
Byron's a really goody, which is probably you. Corey, a bit more of an antagonist. Dvon, I mean,
absolutely. I see the dynamic is so similar too. Okay. I get it. I bet you do. What happened to the back of your wall? What's back there? What's on there? What the pictures? My friends.
Your friend? You got friends other than me and Mo?
No,
this is actually you and Mo.
Yeah.
That's me and Mo. When you couldn't come to Universal, that's the 3 of us in the car. That's the 3 of us at your school. That's the 3 of us recording. Do you see the theme?
Oh wow! Is that you and Talia in the back?
Yeah. That's my other friend.
Well, at least you're not like Byron Saxton and Byron or whatever his damn name is, Saxton. At least you're not like Byron, and he took a photo from my Instagram with my wife and kids and took Talia out of the picture and put himself in. I was like, you are a sad case.
You go to last week's show. If you missed it, stream it on demand and catch it for yourself. It's so good. The father-son dynamic is
there's
incredible.
No father and son dynamic.
It's a little abusive though.
Listen, I got 4 boys and 2 girls. That's it.
Okay.
I ain't having no more. That's it for me. I'm too old to be having any more kids. I can't listen. I can only get so far with my walker chasing after a toddler. Get back here. Get back out.
I mean, you could use the walker just to brace yourself. You really only have to move the hips at that point.
Shit, at that. But listen, that's what got me in trouble if I moved the hips.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay.
Maybe I should keep the hips stable, steady.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's minor details.
Minor details. Exactly. So last thing, just because we like to switch it up and not be just about pro wrestling or the amount of kids that Dvon has.
Oh, goodness.
Yesterday, as of this recording, Tuesday the 13th, was National French Fry Day.
Is it?
Oh, okay. I saw something. McDonald's did a commercial on it. I just saw it today.
Yeah. And they were giving away some free stuff yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it was for real, but I guess it was.
Oh, that's for real.
Just like what Lindsay said about Subway. Now we're going to have a bunch of angry Subway people picketing our show. Because Lindsay said the tuna fish isn't really tuna fish. And
that's what I heard.
And what you say what'd you say the bread?
The bread is got like the same ingredients as a yoga mat and like too much sugar to even be considered bread. Is what I read. It's candy. It's a candy sandwich.
Oh, okay. Well, I do want to say this. I'm very excited about some of the movies that are coming out in the near future. The Conjuring is one.
Won't be watching that.
Halloween.
Will not be watching that.
Halloween, and there's a third one as well. I can't remember what it was. Oh, what's the movie that when you kill everybody and you can get off on it? Oh, The Purge.
Will not be watching that.
The Purge is coming out as well.
Well, it's already out, so you need to go see it.
Wait, in the movie theater?
Yeah.
I have not seen a commercial stating it was out in theaters already and anything. I didn't even know.
For weeks now, yeah.
I don't even know.
So does it mean it's not that good?
I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
Well, I haven't seen it because it doesn't look that good to me.
Well, the only one guy that'll be here next week on our show, the critic that will be able to tell us what his views are and what his thoughts are, I should say, on the movie coming that's out already that I had no idea.
Scary movies that I won't be watching.
Now there is one that I saw that I think you and I talked about, Mo. Not you. I didn't talk about it with you, Lindsay, because I know you don't like scary movies.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The Quiet Place.
No.
Part two.
My daughter watches that stuff. I can't.
I don't know why. I thought it lost me. Again, I thought it felt like it went, like you said, to the first one, and it jumped to the second one. I didn't know where I was. First, the father was alive. Now he's dead. And
what?
I don't know.
I'm
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Eric Davis of Fandango are going to be on the show next week. So that's why we're starting to tease some of this movie content. Dvon wants to talk all the horror films, but I'm sure Eric will also give us his take and thoughts on what we should be seeing now that people are going back to the theaters and the blockbusters are back. Of course, F9 and then Black Widow doing very well this past weekend.
Mo, what was your take on Quiet Place?
I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot, but I was also paying attention.
I'm sorry, I was too busy stuffing the popcorn in my mouth.
Oh, I do that too.
He can, so Mo can multitask.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
And Dvon cannot.
No, because I got popcorn in one hand.
Okay.
I'm eating
I can't either.
Then I got to put it down. I got to put the popcorn. Once I'm done stuffing my face, that little cheese stuff that you can put on it that gives it a little flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too busy dousing it on that. So probably the part that you said I missed was probably going on during that time.
I'm assuming Dvon was too distracted to notice the day zero part, and then when they tell you when the time jump's happening, because he was too busy trying to pull the popcorn trick.
And he didn't have his glasses on.
No, the popcorn trick.
The popcorn.
He's got his popcorn right there.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, you can have some of the popcorn. Yeah, exactly.
I forgot about that one.
And no, that was not extra butter he put on that popcorn.